Hello world, I'm Eire with Saturn's Edge, and you're watching more Persona 3 Reload. Long time no video? No recording? No audio? I don't know which one. Point is, it's been quite a while, as now we're in, mid-April, and while I'm, recording this audio, it's just gonna... Man, long gaps. We're getting there. So, this episode and the next episode were a part of the same batch, an hour-long total, and, well, it's gonna be a couple Tartarus episodes, which is gonna be really nice. It's gonna be really fun, and, it's gonna be enjoyable. We're gonna take our time with it. And I'm gonna get to show you some things that, well, they're worth seeing. They are worth, they're just worth checking out, Man. I gotta say, again, it's been a while, okay? But I think one thing we're gonna note for the future, one thing I'm gonna talk about briefly, is like a little update, right? I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, alright? I do like the solo commentaries a lot when it comes to Persona, as it fits way better than anything else. So I think with this game, and if there's any other game that I feel a solo commentary is better, I'll do it. However, I think in the future... I think in the future that, when it comes to my, single-player game playthroughs, I'm gonna invite more people, onto this, and we're gonna actually, record it, basically live. I feel like it'd be more enjoyable that way, and more to talk about, really, because I do cycle through the same things constantly. However, we're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about the big deal with this episode. Koromaru. Koromaru Appreciation episode is officially here, and we are taking him into Tartarus. Not only are we just going to take him, but we're also going to catch up with a couple others who haven't been to Tartarus in a minute. Oh, multiple major arcana cards. The Chariot, your maximum HP will increase by 10. And the Justice Arcana, you'll be able to pick one additional card from Shuffle Time until you leave Tartarus. That card is going to be good. So, Koromaru has two Theurgies, which is going to be a really interesting thing, and we're going to get to see both of them. Koromaru, welcome to the team. I am glad you're coming with us. But yeah, the other two members that we're going to take with us, we're actually going to take Mitsuru and Akihiko. Mainly because we haven't used them in a hot minute. We have mainly used Yukari, Junpei, and Aigis. And so I feel like giving those two a bit more room in Tartarus, a bit more time to, level up and work with and learn their movesets a bit better. And level them up, obviously, because I want to make sure everyone's a bit balanced. And taking them along with Koromaru, our new friend, this is going to be a really enjoyable experience. Now we're going to have to, we're going to learn one new moveset, and we're going to revisit two of them that we've, not had difficulty using, but have had, less time with, less experience with, less understanding of. And we're going to, help amend some things in the meantime, throughout this episode and the next one, talking about Mitsuru and Akihiko and what they mean, I guess, in terms of combat, and, why they actually, are good, too. Why pretty much every character in this game is a good, viable pick for your team. RPGs constantly have you cycle through characters, if there's a lot of them, like Persona. They have you cycle through them to match up weaknesses, to level up, to keep everyone balanced and ready. And one thing I really like is that I've split it up in such a way, our groups, in such a way that it actually kind of makes sense. But I also now recognize, what is a team without Yukari? What is a team without Junpei? What is a team without Aigis? And now I'm, taking those factors into consideration whenever I'm doing this. So, Koromaru, you have two Theurgies. We'll get to explaining them in a second. Basically, there's a power buff for physical attacks called Power Howling, and Hound of Hades, which is severe dark damage to one foe, similar to other Theurgies that are similar to him. Now, Koromaru falls in an interesting category, as he is the one that knows dark skills, but he also has a fire skill. Koromaru also has his persona, Cerberus. Yes, that Cerberus. Greek and Roman mythology. I think Greco-Roman is the real term when covering both, because I've seen it basically everywhere. Man. Oh, and we're going to talk about Yatagarasu in a minute. Ooh, man. Let's see, there we go. Got this, there we go. So we're going to talk about both Cerberus, and we're going to talk about Yatagarasu in just a second here. Cerberus is a really interesting one, as throughout time they've had multiple designs, and one of the ones that's popped up and been kind of unique is the one specifically for Persona 3. Specifically when it comes to Koromaru, as he is like the one. He is the Persona user for him. Cerberus, I think we all know him. Let's be real. Greek mythology. Three-headed dog. Guardian of the gates of the underworld. Realm of Hades. It's a really just simple pick. And when you compare it dog to dog, it makes sense. You know, you might as well, if you're gonna do the Greek and Roman thing, you might as well make the dog, like, party member have the dog persona. But it's interesting, because other mythological characters have appeared in the same games as Cerberus in Persona. We've actually seen multiple of them, like Orthrus and Chimera. We've seen these two, well, primarily. We've also seen a Hydra before. We have seen, like, characters that actually, like, relate to, specifically to Cerberus. It's really interesting. Being a monster born from a union of Echidna and Typhon, both as monstrous and hideous as their offspring. You have Echidna as a half-woman, half-serpent, and Typhon was the most fierce of all the creatures. His three brothers are Hydra, Chimera, and Orthrus. It's really interesting to, like, actually know, like, where Cerberus, like, comes from specifically, like, you know, creation-wise. And this is, like, the first time I've ever looked into something like that, and it's the first time it's ever been, like, taught to me, I guess. Because when you talk about Cerberus in school, you don't talk about his creation. You just talk about him guarding the gates of the underworld. That's it. And it's such a shame, because it's such an interesting, like, little, like, fact that he is a creation similar to others that are just like him. But now, let's talk about Yatagarasu, the new persona that we got. Yatagarasu is from Japanese mythology, and Yatagarasu has appeared in multiple different instances. One thing you can definitely see is this name appears multiple times in Ace Attorney. Specifically Ace Attorney Investigations, those two games, if you've ever played them at all, or even heard of them. Yatagarasu, a great divine bird, representing the will of heaven, or divine intervention in human affairs in Japanese mythology. Mentioned in a number of places in the Shinto canon, but there's very little explanation, and much of the material that we actually have on him is contradictory. The Great Crow was sent from heaven as a guide for Emperor Jimmu on his initial journey from the region which would become Kumano to what would become Yamato. It is generally accepted that Yatagarasu is an incarnation of Taketsunimi. There we go. Stumbled there for a second. But none of the early surviving documentary records are quite so specific. None of the sources mention about it having 3 legs either, and it may have been influenced by a different bird, the Chinese sunbird. I really cannot pronounce that name because I never heard about this one before. Damn, I feel bad. But they are also known as, Kao. K-A-U, cow? Caw. No, caw doesn't seem right because that implies a W. Cow seems right. There's a longer name, I don't know how to pronounce it. It is a lot of vowels in there. It really is a lot of vowels, and I'm so sad. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that, like, in a lot of interpretations of Yatagarasu, especially in media, there is a constant depiction of having 3 legs, but it doesn't actually appear anywhere. And we just picked up another persona that we are gonna talk about.
As the leader,
Jikokuten. Jikokuten is actually from both, well, not both, all 3 of Buddhist, Chinese, and Japanese mythology. A guardian deity with a fierce expression that protects the east of Buddha's realm. He is associated with the color white, and in China, he is regarded as being harmonious and compassionate, using his pipa to play music in order to convert others to Buddhism. In Japan, his statues mostly carry a sword. He is also the leader of the Gandharvas, the celestial musicians and messengers. His name means he who upholds the realm, nation. Realm or nation, either one is applicable here. Just 3 personas back to back that all, like, actually taught me something pretty interesting here. I mean, all of varying scales, too. I didn't know about the actual, like, origin of Cerberus. I didn't know that, like, a lot of Yatagarasu's records, like, aren't exactly... like, they aren't the most truthful. They're actually very contradictory to what we see in media. And getting Jikokuten as a persona is a very interesting one, because, you know, you don't learn a lot about, like, Chinese or Buddhist mythology at all. And yes, it does have some ties in, you know, Japanese mythology. That's something you still don't typically learn, like, in normal, like, in like, a public high school, you know? So it was really interesting to be able to learn all of these. I mean, it's great, and there's more personas that come up over time. Like, it's genuinely wonderful, like, being able to learn all this stuff. Now, one thing I really like about the flow of this game, whenever you beat a boss, right, especially for, like, the early game, right, like, basically everything from, like, now to all the way to the start, right?
Good teamwork, everyone.
All of that, I wouldn't call the early game, I just call, like, that, like, pretty simple, okay? Straightforward. You beat a boss, you gain a party member, and the party member becomes useful in the next block that you unlock through beating the boss. Koromaru especially is very useful here for having both dark and fire skills, which really helps in the earlier, like, floors of this specific section, where we had to unlock it. And it's really interesting. And we get introduced to another new mechanic. Shadows have status ailments out on the field too. And they act completely differently from how they would normally. The way that they're walking, they're trailing, is completely different. This one has rage. It charges at you. But it takes a moment and it stops afterward. That's the perfect time to strike. Other status conditions we're going to be able to see throughout the course of the game. We're going to be able to see those, and we're going to see how they move, and we're going to be able to learn and take advantage of that. It is going to be a really, like, it is a really interesting mechanic seeing something like that. I didn't, like, I just don't know a lot of games where the status ailment that is typically found in battle can actually affect the overworld enemies and how they behave before you even get into a fight. I think that's really cool. It is a really, I'm not going to say unique, because the truth is, I don't know if other games have done this at all.
That was excellent leadership.
To me, I find it unique because it's my first time seeing it, but it could be completely different. I'm going to say this, however. It is a very interesting mechanic, and it really makes, like, even, like, parts where you're out of combat seem a little bit more strategic, as now you have to notice how your enemy is acting so you can get the drop on them for a better shot in the actual fight. I like it. It's a really cool feature.
If you want to get the most protein out of a meal, a beef bowl from Uni Ushi is the
Yeah,
way to
beef
go.
bowl from there would be pretty good. Yeah, that does sound good. It's actually been a while since I've had any, man. Oh, the critical for Koromaru is pretty cool. Oh, I forgot to mention Koromaru's choice of weapon here. Completely forgot it, and his personality for how his theurgies work. Or how that charge works. We're gonna see Hound of Hades. This is a really cool one. I like it. So, he uses specifically knives. Now, in his mouth you can see a kunai, which is kind of basic, right? You'd think, like, oh, that shouldn't count as a knife. You know, that's not really a knife. The entire idea of what the knife class of weapons is that it has to be a one-handed weapon that he could hold in his mouth, and that is considered a knife. So his starting weapon, the kunai, makes perfect sense for him. Or at least in this case it does. Because I'm pretty sure he actually did just start with a normal knife that I replaced with a kunai. The other thing, his personality. Whenever he hits an enemy with their weakness, he gains charge. This is a really good one. However, it is a really weird one to achieve. You might be asking why it's weird. Well, we've seen a lot of bosses before actually have resistances to a variety of things. But one of the most common ones you see is light and dark. They have a very common resistance to that. So, Koromaru's personality here is really interesting, because the early game of this, like, you know, section where we're just playing with him, is really easy to gain charge. However, if we're talking actual boss fights, if we're talking, like, things that are tougher, that absolutely, and I mean absolutely, have resistances to dark or fire, that can mess with him completely. It makes building up his revolution, his theurgy so much harder. Revolution, however, is the other move he has. Revolution is a really interesting sort of ability, and I don't know how I feel about it. Revolution is a support type skill, greatly increasing everyone's critical rate on the field for 3 turns. Both allies and enemies. Revolution has got to be one of the most balanced support skills, because it's basically a way of saying, like, I'll risk it to do more damage and take more damage. It's as simple as that. I will not use it often or at all, because I don't like risking that at all. I would much prefer a skill that that buffs the critical rate, or, like, you know, evasion or whatever, right? On a single target without affecting the enemy. As long as I never affect the enemy once with any move that could, like, potentially buff them, I think it's a win. Specifically, Revolution is a double-edged sword, and I am not willing to use it unless I absolutely, like, just feel like it one day. I feel like it could be good. I feel like it could be interesting. Am I going to use it in this episode or the next one? Probably not. Most likely not, actually. That is not for me at all. I'm just checking over my requests here, just to see what I absolutely need or don't need.
Please paint my powerful persona a pretty purple. Please paint my powerful this is harder than I thought.
Yeah, very specific ones. Anyway,
Very well.
back into Tartarus, I guess. Man, something got, like, caught in my, somewhere. I don't know. Something got caught. That's better. Okay. Yeah, next floor. We're good. Move on. Yeah, but I'm really glad that we found a clock on this floor before the monad door on the next one. No. I'm really glad we found that clock, because you saw how far behind Akihiko and Mitsuru were.
Apparently, there's
Like,
an antique shop in
8 and 9 levels. I'm so glad that we can find that clock to catch them up, because that was insanely helpful. I like keeping my party members at balanced levels, things that make sense, because I never know when I'm gonna have to switch off of one completely. I would much prefer to have even-leveled allies than over-leveled and under-leveled ones. It makes the game more challenging to me if everyone is, like, around the same level, because then you're not blazing through everything. And under the specific event that, you know, one of your over-leveled party members dies, you would switch to an under-leveled one and just get absolutely just demolished. Yeah, we're gonna do one of these moves. I don't know which one, though. Yeah, Zane. Wow, that worked. The kick. Really, it's just the kick.
Let's move on.
No shadows detected.
Okay, level 36 for both of them. So Akihiko jumped from 28 to 36. That is absolutely amazing, because now we have Elec Boost. Wonderful. It just makes electric-type moves do more damage. But what do I replace with Elec Boost? I don't know. It's really difficult. I think I had to replace Shock Boost for this one. No, I replaced Dia, that's right, and then the next move was Elec Break, which negates electric resistance for 3 turns, and I figured Shock Boost would be the thing to replace. Why did I replace Shock Boost? Simply put, whenever I've used Akihiko or any electric moves from anyone, specifically Akihiko or the protagonist, or, Minato, specifically when I've used them, they have not been doing any shock whatsoever. And you see here, we're getting 3 new moves for Mitsuru. Spirit Drain, Ice Break, and Tentarafu. Spirit Drain is going to be really good, Ice Break is going to be pretty good, and Tentarafu is also going to be a really good one because we do need some status effects from Mitsuru if she wants to build Theurgy at all. Man. I'm almost there, I can do this. Something just keeps getting caught in my, like, throat, and it really, like, burns, I guess. I don't know. There we go. Yeah, so we do that, and I'm pretty sure we found out the dice, that die over there, is weak to electric, so we switch over to Akihiko. Akihiko, clean this up. There we go. Oh, by the way, that was funny. That first enemy got inflicted with shock. The whole time, I have not seen shock at all come from any of my party members, to finally inflicting it when I remove the boost. Just wow. Just wow. Thank you, Akihiko, for actually inflicting shock one time. What did I do here? Did I do Mamuda? No, I did that to play it safe. See, I was confused at the time as to what I was supposed to do. Yeah, no, I did Aiga, because that just made way more sense. It was a simple move I could just pump out really quick, and then... Yeah, and then Mitsuru would hop in with Ice, with Mabufu. Yep, there we go. It's weird, like, I recorded this footage a while back now. I think maybe about a week ago. And every time I've ever watched footage that was, like, from, like, a week ago or older, it's strange, like, looking back and remembering, like, what I did. But also, it's really interesting to see that, like, man, I was fighting like that? Like, that was, like, these are my strategies? It's just, like, you know, absolutely, like, cheesing them, basically.
Good job, Koro-chan.
I mean, I get that's, like, the whole point, but also it's like, oh, so, like, I understand how I'm, like, fighting now. I get it. Oh, and here, yeah, that worked perfectly. Maega.
You're getting a nice steakhouse.
Wait, is it Ma? I think it's Maega, not Maega. Yeah, no, that was definitely wrong. It's Maega. Maega. There we go. Got it. I swear, I know that the Persona spells are very easy to, like, pronounce and read, but I think when it comes to the dark spells, it's where it gets a little bit awkward, because unlike the other ones, it starts with a vowel instead of a consonant. Actually, wait, let me do... No, yeah, it is the only one out of the 6 elemental ones that starts with a vowel. Because you got Bufugaru, you got... I don't know.
There's a shadow.
Agi starts with it. So fire technically does, yeah, no, fire literally starts with a vowel. That is my fault. And electric, I literally forgot what electric was, but I'm pretty sure it's also a consonant. Yeah, Zeo. Yeah, so that's a consonant as well. And then for all of the light spells, it's like Ko, or like, it's like Ko, basically. Yeah, so no, so Dark and Fire are the only two that start with vowels. Just what makes it awkward for me is I think it's the spelling in all of the Dark spells makes it a bit weird. That I literally forget how to pronounce it entirely. Huh. Yo, I actually never, actually thought about this until recording. Until right now, as I'm doing audio live. I really had to take time and, think about that. That's crazy. I really had to think about that. Wow. Anyway, I gotta make sure everyone is, medicined up. Especially Koromaru here, because he's not, doesn't exactly have the most stuff going on. I think we gave him a Snuff Soul to, start off. And then I think I scrolled down more because I knew I had a lot of SP items. I had 21 Mad Bulls. I fed him 6 Red Bulls. I fed a dog 6 Red Bulls. I know that, there was a joke I saw that's oh, you know, I fed Fuka, who's all the way back on the first floor, and I'm on, the 150th floor, and I just, fed her, 12 Red Bulls. I think the context of just, pulling out 6 energy drinks out of your bag and, going up to Koromaru, just going up to a dog and, making them drink it is just really... It's really bizarre that this game just, has basic stuff like that. And I get it, it's not oh, this is a big game mechanic or something. You know, if the dog has a Red Bull, they die. That move is cool. I like the howl in front of the moon. And it looks really beautiful. I like the cosmic scenery. You know I like space. No. What I was gonna say is that, I know that it's not intentional for, the game to be oh, you know, you can't feed your dog 6 Red Bulls. But the fact that we're able to do it in here, and, you know, nothing has to be mentioned at all because it's just not something that is worth putting in, it's funny to me. I think it's really funny. Simple as it is, I think feeding Koromaru 6 Red Bulls is easily one of the funniest, it's easily one of the funniest, optional things you can do. Completely optional. You can miss it throughout the entire game if you really, you know, don't think about it or you miss it entirely. I just think it's funny. I think it's just stupidly funny. So yeah, Spirit Drain is a really interesting move, because it drains SP from the enemy, but it only costs 3 SP to actually do. So, if you really want to use this move, you need to have at least 3 SP. You need to at least be low enough to be like, yeah, no, I can't do that. I absolutely have to use this. It's a really interesting way to balance it out, because instead of diving into your HP to drain SP, it keeps into the same pool, but now it's like a thing where you absolutely have to make sure that you can, like, do that. I do like that. It's a really nice thing. Yes, we're gonna do that gem, the Mipatra gem. Nemean Beast. Take the ice now. Honestly, I've decided to, like, give up my theurgy rule for some things. But with this, I mean, like, it's either the boss is a complete, like, HP, like, kind of a slog to, like, fight. I'm just cutting down the time by a lot, so I actually have room to, like, commentate instead of saying the same things over and over. Setting a hard rule like that at the beginning was kind of naive of me, because I knew I had to use these, but I didn't know how often I would actually use them. Using them for the Monad Door bosses makes a lot of sense. Oh, social-like bonuses for Persona Fusions will increase? No, EXP. It's gotta be EXP. We like the full card here. And Jack Frost leveled up. Doesn't matter, he doesn't gain any more moves. I should probably, like, replace him out at some point with a different, like, Ice-type, Persona. Or at least one that, like, has Ice-type moves. Or more of them than just, like, you know, 1 or 2. But yeah, we're hitting the end of our episode here today. And I'm glad I could come back to this. I'm really glad I can come back to this. I've been Eire with Saturn's Edge, and you've watched Persona 3 Reload. Feel free to like and subscribe, to share this with people, and hey, I will be seeing you all around in the next video, alright? See ya!